Alright, let us begin. Hello everyone and welcome to PhD Studio. Today we'll be doing an unboxing not of the SL2, which is also this camera over here, and I actually have the really cool Sigma 24f2 Leica. We want a Leica version of this lens, but no, let me just grab the other box. Here we go. This is the brand new SL3 in the factory box here that is sealed. So let's just start the unboxing right now. Now I was in Wetzlar last week for the media briefing. I had a brief chance to play with it for I don't know how long. Just less than 2 days. All right, out of the box, and here we go, the SL3. And as I was saying, I was invited to Wetzlar last week with Julian Falk of Fourth Dimension Pictures, and we had a chance to test it. And so I have a different video. This is just the unboxing portion, and because I have an SL2, we're going to have a chance to just really do a side-by-side because we already know all the rumors. This is supposed to be smaller, this is supposed to be lighter, and I did have them both together with me in Wetzlar, and you can definitely feel the difference. And so here we go. First off, you start off with, what is this? Get your material number, serial number, and product registration. And then here is all in German. And this is, I see, it just shows the person that inspected it, I guess, and signed, make sure everything was packaged properly. And this is the mothership here. And here is a SL3 quick setup guide. This is awesome. Still printed manuals. More manufacturers should bring this back. I think Fujifilm's gone pretty much all virtual now, but having a physical copy is great. And here's your Leica Society International free membership invitation, which is very cool. Maybe I'll just keep this one here. And so let's move the paperwork out of the way and lift up this top section here. And you know, I actually did get a chance. I actually did unbox all of the major SLs, the original SL, the SL2, and finally the SL3. So really appreciate Leica setting this out for me. And here is the camera itself. So I'm gonna just leave this off to the side, and let's just I'm gonna move my light here just so we can see inside better. Here we go. So let's see what else you get in here. You get the nice Leica strap. It's nice, but I still prefer. Fujifilm makes nice straps too. Leicas are actually better. It's thicker. It makes sense because this is a bigger camera. I'm just not a fan of attaching straps this way. So I just use Peak Design usually for this type of thing here. But decent strap if you want to use the OEM strap. And what else do you get here? So it looks like the box is empty from here. And so you'll get the new battery. So it's the same battery that's in the Leica Q3. At least it should be. Here we go. These batteries are not cheap, but they're not any normal battery, as you know, right? It has that locking system here, and that is the actual bottom of your camera when you install this. And then I guess you're going to get that really premium braided, here we go. Yeah, so it's a really nice braided USB-C to C. And as you can see right there, it even says Leica. It says Leica on here, so don't lose this. And this should be a pretty high data throughput on here. So there's the 3, and it looks like you don't get the external charger anymore. I guess they want you to just charge via USB-C. They've kept the price the same from the SL2, $6,995 USD. And I was thinking to myself, you know, how can they keep the price the same when there's so many improvements? And it's been, I think, 4 years since the previous model. So actually this price point is really nice on the SL3. So here we go, brand new, never been touched. Look at this here. Look at this SL3. So what's the first thing you notice when you look at these side by side? Definitely a family resemblance, but what you notice first thing is this dial over here. Feels exactly the same as the standard right dial. Now, those of us that know the SL system, we know that this dial here is unique because it actually isn't it doesn't physically connect to the body. It's magnets in here, right? And so you have these two over here. So that's the first thing you notice. As well, you'll notice a PC sync connector here threaded. And you also notice something else. What do you notice? Look at that. It's a different type of button, on and off. It's not a physical switch anymore. Look at that. And so as you see, I forgot to turn this off. And that's the big thing that SL2 users maybe complained about, is forgetting that they left it on. And so when we first checked this out, I mean, check out my other video, I was kind of, I don't know if this is something I would want, but when I was using for those 2 days, I actually really liked it. Now I'm going to obviously do a longer term review with the SL3, but so far I like that kind of that sleep mode. There's a little RGB light behind, and I actually talked to Nico, who's one of the designers. Actually got to talk to the entire design team up in Wetzlar. So David Suh did the, he's actually from Vancouver, studied at Emily Carr. He did the actual design of the camera. And then Nico did the firmware. And I think Julie did the icons. I think Mark Shippard is in charge of the entire design team down in Munich, which is, you know, they're remote from Wetzlar itself. And so, again, SL shooters, we know this is kind of how this, I think it started all the way back from the T camera, right? So you just pop that, you still have to pop that again. So it keeps it safer, it's in here. And another thing you'll notice is, what do you see? It finally has a articulating screen. And so people that got the SL2 previously and ended up testing out the Panasonic equivalents, the S1R and the S1H. I don't know which is which. I think the S1R is similar to the SL2, but that just wasn't a pretty camera. A buddy of mine, Kyle, he actually bought the SL2 and the S1R, ended up selling S1R. He said it just felt like a, how do I explain it? Too many buttons. It didn't have the Leica aesthetics and the feel, and so he ended up keeping his SL2, but the one thing he lamented was it didn't have an articulating screen. So now finally SL3 has a articulating screen. And so those are kind of the main outside differences, right? So you got the extra dial here, you have the PC sync terminal here. The I/O should be the same, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a higher throughput on the USB-C, but I know the app is improved, and as well as the throughput on this, on the cards have also improved. So that's kind of aesthetically on the outside, and also the buttons have been moved, right? You can see it used to be on the left side, but now that this screen is articulating, you can't have the buttons on this side anymore, right? Because the screen is centered to the EVF. Do you see that? It's perfectly centered to the EVF, and so they had no choice but to move the buttons to the right. But to the right is the most intuitive place for the buttons to be, and also the position of the play function and menu has stayed the same. So it's all moved over to the right hand side. And so another thing you're going to notice here is as you open this door up, what do you see? There is a SD card slot here and a CF Express. And so I've been playing with CF Express cards since the Fujifilm X-H2, X-H2S, as well as the new GFX. And I actually really prefer the CF Express when you have high resolution sensors. So this has the latest Maestro 4 processor. It has the latest 60 megapixel pixel bin, so it has 60, 36, 18, so multi-resolution with advantages of shooting at lower resolution. So it lines up with the M11 as well as the Q3. With that, you know, you have so much higher throughput. You need faster cards. So when we were at Leica, they basically gave us these Lexar 128 cards filled up very fast, especially if you're shooting a lot of video. But I've been using this Per Gear that Per Gear sent me, and then on the SL3 tested this. No problems, this works. And so I wouldn't hesitate to buy I mean, at least that's my experience. And this is 1 terabyte. So 128, I have noticed around 256 and above. So 512, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, you're better off. It's actually cheaper to get a CF Express card versus getting a high-speed SD card. You're getting crazy speeds of like 1700 read-write speeds, right? Where you're not getting numbers that high on an SD card. So I'm actually happy that Leica went with the CF Express, but as well as having an SD card in here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge this up. And I'll just show you quickly while I'm charging the battery is one of the cool things about this little LED light is, as you can see, when you're doing different things, it changes color. Isn't that cool? So this is the charging feature right here. And I did ask Leica, is this button color programmable? And they said, the Canon firmware, and so I suggested to Nico that maybe we can have different, even if you change different profiles that you have, that the color changes with the profile you have. And I thought that would be pretty cool. But even when you're doing video, when you're doing different modes, the color is different. So I just thought I would show you this as the battery is charging right now. All right, I'll be right back. Actually, another thing we can do is we could swap out batteries, but you'll see what happens here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge the new battery. It's like 2200 milliamp hours versus 1800 something milliamp hours. So it is interchangeable, just like on the Q3 and the Q2, you can swap out. So I'm going to basically plug this in here and charge the new SL3 battery in the SL2, and then put the SL2 battery into the SL3. So if you do have SL2 batteries, they will work, but there is a caveat. So let's just turn this on. So it turns on, you get that really cool little video here, as always, because this is Leica. Here we go, SL3, isn't that beautiful? Okay, now let's just wait. And then you pick your language, hit OK, English, set up your Leica Photos app. So I will just do this later. Do you really want to cancel setup? Yes. Great. This has really great touch interface. But notice what it says here. Several functions are not available using battery type, the older battery, the SL4. Please use battery type BP SL6 for full functionality. So when we're talking Leica, some of the things is like the high end, like burst speeds, the top end video specs, but I think for me it's not going to make any difference. So that is a caveat, and it would be nice, Leica, if once you do this, maybe in the deep menu settings, to not have this come up every time you use your older batteries. Like maybe there could be like a little icon or something that basically tells you, hey, you're using the older battery, and so you know some of the features that you have won't work. So now that I have a battery in here, we can quickly check a few new things as well. Is brand new menus. Look at that. So the icons have changed. Leica went into detail about how they updated, and that's the thing about Leica. You know, they care about things like font and type and icons, and it really changes your user experience, and it's not a huge difference. You could see this if you have the older firmware, then clearly you can tell it's different. And you know, just like when you update like from your iOS, you know, it goes to a new OS. At first it's a little jarring because you're used to seeing things look a certain way, but then when you go back later, like a year later, someone has the older OS and it just looks ancient. And so I'm just kind of getting used to these new icons and stuff like that. But overall, you know, everything is touch, so it's really easy to kind of scroll through. And that was the beauty of the previous SL2, and even more so on the new SL3. So let's pop on a lens here. As I mentioned, I do like this Sigma 24 f2. I like having this physical aperture dial over here as well. Metal lens hood, but let's do something that when I was talking to Pat Domingo, who is one of the photographers that's helping to launch the SL3, so go follow him on Instagram. A wonderful guy, amazing photographer, but what he said is that he usually just uses his M-mount lenses, and I kind of asked him, so you know, what do you think about the SL3? And he basically said the color science matches up with the Q3 and the M11, so as he switches cameras, he's doing different shoots, he would have to tweak the SL2S a little bit, he said, but the SL2, the color science is just a different generation. So typically, if he is doing a shoot with multi-cameras, he prefers the SL3, Q3, and the M11P as they all align. So here is the new, the Leica M adapter, M to L adapter. So we'll open this up. All right. Oh, I didn't realize this came with a little case. That's kind of cute. And you get proper Leica. Look, the key to this, I mean, one great thing about this is you get the really expensive. This will be an M-mount body cap, which is great. And then the back here is a L-mount back lens cap. And so here we have this. We'll pop this on here. Beautiful. All right, so now we got that. Let's grab a lens here. Here we have something really simple, a 50mm Summicron, and that's kind of the beauty, right? These M-mount lenses are so tiny, and again, like what Pat said, if you're used to the look and rendering of these lenses, when you go from M to SL, you're gonna get the same look, and again, same processor, same sensor generation. The main reason why you would probably switch over to this is if you're gonna do a little BTS, like maybe some video behind the scene stuff, and then switch to shooting stills, as well as if you're want to get really accurate focus. So let's say you have a Noctilux. Well, with the viewfinder here, it's much easier to see. And here we go. It already knows what lens it is, so you just say okay. So now it knows what lens you have on here. And now, there you go. So this is the SL3 with the 50mm Summicron. And so it looks alright. Looks a little small. Definitely when you have the larger lenses, like if you have the 35 f2, the non-apo, but just the spherical, or the 50 f2, looks fantastic. The 50 apo and the 35 apo, those are just chonker lenses. But if you want like just the sharpest lenses, then get the 50 apo and the 35 apo. But I think a lot of people prefer the 35 and the 50 Summicron spherical. But here you go, you have an M-mount lens over here, and then now having this articulating screen, and then having this extra dial, it just makes things a lot easier. And now that we have here, it's probably hard to see the size difference because I have lenses here. Maybe, all right, I'm back. So basically I put the M-mount adapters on both of them because I can't find the body cap. But here we go. Can you tell the difference in size? Definitely this is slightly smaller, but unless you shot with an SL all the time, it'd be kind of difficult to know the difference. But it is slightly smaller, even with the LCD. Let's look at it from the top here. So maybe this is a better way of checking out size this way here. Let's try to line up. Now I think you can see, and I'm gonna zoom in. Let's just zoom in here, right? So you could see that, right? You can see the size difference in terms of width. And then here, in terms of size this way here, let's put it side by side. Can you see the size difference? And as well, there is a weight difference between these two cameras as well. So let's just grab a scale. All right, I got the coffee scale here. It's not like an industrial scale, so it's not going to be exact. This is the SL2. Check out the weight here, 929.3 grams. Battery in, and no lens, no lens cap. All right. And then now this is the SL3. Same thing, no lens. 849.1. So definitely you can tell the difference in the weight when you hold an SL3 versus having the SL2. And also, as you saw, this is definitely a narrower camera as well. So if you're gonna be shooting all day, it's gonna make a difference. All right, so now let's put the scale away and wrap up this video. These are both just really cool looking cameras, but definitely for Leica to be able to keep the price the same of the SL3 from the original SL2 from 4 or 5 years ago, but having all these improvements, the latest sensor, the latest processor, the latest firmware, adding this extra dial, so some hardware updates, having the PC sync terminal, which not a lot of people are going to use, but if you're a studio shooter, I think a lot of people will probably be tethering as well, but you still have that there for old school shooters. And as well, you have the articulating screen, which is going to be a big deal for a lot of people. I think some people, Pat had said originally he didn't think he would like it, but in the end, he says he's getting older and he actually appreciates having this when he needs it. And so that's great. This new button, this on and off button, is going to be controversial, but as I said, when I was using it, and see, you get that warning again, right? If you're not using the newer battery, you get that warning. It would be nice to not always have to press past that there. And now it recognizes a Summicron. You hit OK. No memory card because I didn't put it in there. Being able to just go into sleep mode like this, and now it's in sleep mode, and then the long press to basically turn it off. I think it's kind of smart. And then I'm sure in the settings you can turn off that light, so when it is on and you don't want that glowing light or anything like that, you could just program the light off. If you can't, then it's a good firmware update, because maybe you're in a situation you cannot have any ambient light. It's good to be able to turn that off, or again, program it. So Nico, if you can do that, that'd be fantastic. Now, when I was in Wetzlar, what I did with this camera is, I think by default this is ISO. So that's what I had here. On the inside here, what I programmed this, and what you would do with the Leicas is actually just long press, and then you can just change it. See that? Switching to a sensor format. And so what I would do is switching to APS-C, which punches in, or shooting wider at 35mm. And so sometimes you just, if you have a prime and you can't zoom, like the 24 f2, punch in and it becomes a 36mm. on the with the Sigma lens, and so that's what I set this up. So ISO, APS-C, and 35mm, and it's just a toggle. You can see it just toggles back and forth, which is great, which you could do with the SL2 as well. And then on this one here, what I did was, I think, white balance. So again, you just long press and then change it. It is already on white balance. And then this inside one here is switching to video and stills, which is great. And then everything else is all kind of set. And then you have this function button here as well. So I think if you long press, you can again decide what you want to do. So you have basically 1, 2, 3, 4 custom buttons. And you still have these two over here. I don't even know what you do with these two. Yeah, same thing. These two here, you can set it to different settings as well. And to be honest, I don't think I'm even going to really use these two in the front. You almost forget that these two custom functions are here. So everything's here. Right here. Everything's here. So this is definitely a faster shooter than the SL2. So if you shoot the SL2 and you love the ecosystem and you have R lenses, you have M lenses, you have Cine lenses, this is a very versatile mount, full frame. You can crop into APS-C if you want, but now having the latest sensor, latest processor, latest firmware, having the articulating screen, having the updated battery, a slightly upgraded LCD, I think, but I think that's the one thing, is the on and off switch. You want a virtual one, which allows you to use the app to turn the camera on and off. So that's kind of the advantage of it. This is a hardwire on and off. And actually, this another thing I wanted to test is if you put this in sleep mode, it'd be nice if you could just long press the play button and it'll just wake up the camera. Will it work? No. Or maybe this is a setting. But that would be cool if you could do that as well. In sleep mode, Leica, if you just long press the play button, if it just allows you to look at the photos without having to turn it on and then pressing play. But until then, I'm going to be playing with this. There's lots of photographers. Check out Pat Domingo. Check out Jason Roman, Stock Easy. Check out Brandon Ruffin, and as well as Tabea. They've all had early copies. And there's other photographers as well. And so check out what their thoughts are, because I think many of them not only helped develop it, but shot with it for a few months and done some pro shoots, and see what they think. But I'm super excited to be shooting with this, but as well, as I kind of hinted before, I will be shooting with the SL2 as my primary hybrid camera out and about in Vancouver and as I travel the world. And so you guys have been used to me using Fujifilm X-T4, X-T5 when I need a hybrid camera. But I think moving forward, I'm going to be using the SL2 because there's going to be a lot of these hitting the market. And I've always loved the SL series, and there's never an opportunity for me to basically be able to afford one. So now it's at the right price. So I'll be working with Camera West, and so I'll give you links down below. Check out the pricing. A lot of SL2s will be traded in as people are upgrading to the SL3. So, you know, one of the best entry points into the Leica interchangeable lens system is buying an SL2 or an SL2S or even the original SL. And so check out the link down below. And so thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon, and happy shooting.